All right, so let's talk about how we should be thinking of feature engineering. And really, what we should be doing is thinking about feature engineering similar to how we think about recipes. So in this case, we have raw ingredients, which is would be our predictor variables, and we want to add certain steps to refine those raw ingredients in order to create some kind of final output or refined features that we can then train a model on. Now, one thing we may think about doing is just going ahead and going directly into our data frame and making transformations on our features to change them in one way or another. But we actually don't want to do that. And what we want to do is we want to create a recipe that can be used or reused later on in the actual model training process. And to do that, we're going to use the recipes package. Recipes package is one of the packages that comes with Tidy Models. And what we're going to do is create a recipe, which we can see here on this slide, which looks very similar to the formula approach that we use when we basically create or fit our model. All right. So what this is going to do, it's not going to modify our actual training data in any way. We're just establishing that we're creating a recipe. And what we're going to do here is we're going to add on additional steps to this recipe that's going to state how we want to modify our features. And we're going to talk about that here in the coming slides and the parts of the lesson reading. So just realize that the first step in creating our recipe is to use this recipe function here where we state our target variable, like we have in the past, is a function of whatever predictor variable. So in this case, we're using dot, which means all other variables within our training data. Now, we always want to have our recipe built on our training data. Okay, so not the entire, in this case, Ames data set, but just that part of the data set that we've set aside for training purposes. All right, so from here, we can add onto this recipe certain steps, but these steps are going to be dependent on the type of features that we're dealing with and what we want to do with those features, which we'll talk about here in the oncoming material.